Victoria stepped out of her car into the December cold. The parking lot lights flickered overhead. She tucked her small dog inside her jacket and started toward her apartment. Something felt wrong. A shadow moved across the pavement. A man approached fast, asking for directions to the beach. Before she could answer, a second man appeared. One of them flicked a cigarette. She watched it fall. Then they were on her, a gun pressed hard against her skull, hands gouged into her eyes. Her puppy, trapped between the violence, bit down on exposed skin. Victoria threw the dog into the bushes and ran. They caught her by the hair and dragged her back down, the gun shoved into her mouth. One attacker gestured toward nearby apartment windows. The message was clear: scream and someone dies. Victoria heard a sound like something heavy hitting concrete. When she woke, she was in a car. They asked her where the cliffs were. She understood they planned to throw her body where it would be found. She had no weapon except her mind. The attackers drove through dark streets. One of them raped her. Then the other. They took turns while the gun stayed close and immediate. The man in charge mentioned a gang, Sons of Samoa. He carved 3 letters into her skin with something sharp. He said he wanted a beach girl for Christmas. He said the police would see her body. Victoria remembered a photo in her wallet. A friend's newborn baby. She told them she had a child. She had a child. She said they had to let her go so she could see her son. The man laughed. He said she had already identified him. She said no, he had damaged her eyes. She could not see. The car went quiet. They did not believe her yet. The attacks continued. Hours collapsed into each other. At some point, the man in charge pulled her out of the car by her hair. She was on her hands and knees on the pavement. The gun touched the back of her head. Then the other man threw a jacket over her. He said she was cold. That moment changed everything. One of them felt something. Felt something. The man with the gun came close. He counted down. Then he said, "Merry Christmas." He told her to run. Victoria ran through the night until a family let her inside and called for help. Before going to the hospital, she returned with investigators to look for her dog. She called out into the darkness. A small sound came back. The puppy was alive. Officers at the scene cried. At the hospital, doctors cataloged the damage. Red marks crossed both eyes where fingernails had cut into tissue. Her shoulder was partially dislocated. Part of her jaw had shifted out of place. Most of her teeth were loose. She had lost significant hearing. Her pain registered beyond any standard measurement. Victoria's younger sister saw her in the hospital bed. The strong older sister who had always been the rock was broken. Blood matted her hair. When their mother tried to help her shower, chunks of hair fell away, held together only by dried blood. By the time the water ran clear, half of it was gone. The attack happened on Christmas Eve in 1990. Victoria was 19 years old. Detective assigned to the case knew the violence would not stop with her. He put everything else aside. Composite sketches went out through news stations. DNA evidence was collected from her body and from the jacket one attacker had given her. Investigators thought the gang reference was a solid lead. It went nowhere. Weeks became months. Months became years. The detective would tell Victoria they had nothing. The men were still out there. She could not sleep without seeing the inside of that car. When she did sleep, she woke up screaming. Someone stayed in her room 24 hours a day because she was terrified they would come back to finish it. Victoria eventually left the state to start over. Distance helped. She learned to sleep through the night again. She met someone who stayed. She had twins. For a while, the weight lifted. 18 years after the attack, the detective called. DNA had matched one of the men. His name was Joseph's son. He had been in movies. He had fought in mixed martial arts. Victoria recognized him immediately from a photo lineup. That face appeared every night before she fell asleep. Joseph's son denied everything in the interrogation room. DNA evidence did not lie. He was charged with multiple counts of rape and kidnapping. A second suspect was still unidentified. Detectives released Son's photo alongside the original sketch. An anonymous email arrived. The writer said he knew Son in high school. He knew one of Son's friends. The sketch looked like that friend. Detectives set up surveillance outside an apartment. A man walked out holding a bottle of soda. He finished it and set the bottle on top of a dumpster. Officers grabbed it. DNA matched. His name was Santiago Gayan. He had a wife and children. He had tried to start a new life. The case was 18 years old. Rape and kidnapping charges could not be filed. The statute of limitations had expired. The prosecutor spent a weekend searching for another angle. She found one: torture. There is no time limit on torture. It carries the possibility of life in prison. Santiago Gayan accepted a plea deal. He confessed to everything. He received 17 years. In years, Su's son went to trial. He did not testify but shouted out periodically that the witnesses were lying. The jury found him guilty of torture. He received 7 years to life. 1 month later, guards found Sun's cellmate dead in their prison cell. The man had been beaten and kicked to death. Prosecutors considered the death penalty for the new murder. Victoria was asked to testify at sentencing. She thought about it. Then she decided she was done. She had a life to live. In 2014, Victoria was diagnosed with advanced breast cancer. Her sister shaved her head in solidarity. Victoria fought through treatment. She went into remission. She chose the name Victoria because it felt like a victory. She had survived. The detective never forgot her. Victoria started a family. She found happiness again. On full moons, she still feels uneasy, but she rocks out every chance she gets. Her twins grew up healthy. She works as a victim advocate now, helping others navigate the criminal justice system. Joseph's son remains in prison. Santiago Gayan served his sentence. The Sons of Samoa reference was never explained. It might have been a lie to scare her. It might have been something else. What matters is that Victoria lived. She rewrote the role they gave her. She refused to be a toe tag or a missing person. She used her mind as a weapon when she had nothing else. Her story is not just about survival. It is about what happens after. The years of fear, the sleepless nights, the hypervigilance, the way a door closing or a car brake can pull someone back into a moment they barely escaped. Her story is about rebuilding a life from pieces and finding meaning in the wreckage. 25 years later, Victoria still does not say the names of the men who attacked her out loud. She will not give them that power. She thinks about the detective who promised her they would slip up one day. He was right. DNA databases expanded, technology caught up. Justice moves slowly, but it moved. Victoria describes the attack as getting a taste of hell. She says it is a story that needs to be told. Not for sympathy, not for attention, but because evil exists and because survival is possible. Because someone else might be in a car right now trying to rewrite their own role. Because words can be weapons when there is nothing else left. She lives now with her family. She cooks gourmet meals. She takes photos. She watches her children grow. She does not let the past consume her future. The scars are still there. The nerve damage reminds her. But she chose a name that means victory, and she made it true.